Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by Classic Exam 6792. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom and her husband that they do not get to ruin my siblings' special events to get what they want? My mom and her husband have tried to coerce my younger sister, 18 next week, to invite the husband's daughter to her high school graduation in May. People will be confused about why this is such a big deal, and I'll explain. My dad died when I, 30 male, was 5. My mom met her husband Jim when I was 8 and his daughter Layla was 6. Mom and Jim moved fast. They were married within 6 months, and it was just over a year after Jim lost his wife and Layla's mom. Layla hated it. She wanted to live with her aunt from the jump of the relationship and screamed the whole way through their wedding, which they went ahead with anyway. It was a total crap show. I had been so excited for Mom originally because my dad was a piece of crap and I felt she deserved so much better. Jim decided we should do family therapy to try to work through things. So for 3 years we went in different combos. My half-brother was born 3 years into therapy, followed a year later by the oldest of my sisters. 2 years later, my mom was pregnant with my youngest sister and things went to crap. Layla walked away from Mom trying to pick her up from school one day and told this girl's parents that my mom was trying to take her. The police were called, CPS came, Jim got involved, and for 2 days there were questions asked and Layla was spoken to. She asked if she could live with her aunt because she wanted to, and CPS told her she needed to live with her dad. So Layla decided, since that didn't work, she would accuse my mom of not treating her right. Jim stood by Mom and CPS investigated, but all of us were taken into temporary foster care while it was figured out. I was placed with my brother and sister while Layla went into her aunt's house. Through the whole thing, Layla and I were both interviewed countless times and my mom was cleared. But it was decided Layla should stay with her aunt while she and Jim went to therapy together. Jim saw her for 2-ish years until Layla told him she wanted nothing more to do with him. She also wished Mom and me dead and some awful things on my siblings. The youngest never met Layla at all. The other 2 don't really remember her, but they know we were taken off Mom and Jim because of what she said. We also know from Jim's parents that she still hates Mom, me, and them. But she moved closer recently and Jim has been trying to reconcile with her. Now he and Mom want to try to force this happy family dynamic on my sister and she's feeling so stressed about it because she doesn't want Layla there. She asked me to speak to Mom, but Mom said I had no idea what I was talking about. So I told her and Jim when I saw them together that they didn't get to ruin my siblings' special event to get what they want, and they can make plans to meet Layla without risking my siblings' feelings. They tried to say Layla is my sibling, our family too, and I'm being hard on them. Am I the a-hole? She's not even a blood relative, and she's awful to people, and they want her to come to the graduation. They can reconcile with her if they want. They're welcome to. Your siblings and you are not required to. I have a feeling that they're going to try to bring her in anyway, even if you don't invite her. Thankfully, though, a lot of schools have reserved seating, and you have to say how many guests you're going to be bringing. Down in the comments by, I'm missing this person's name, but I wanted to read it anyway, and I did Google search to see if I could find the original poster, but apparently this post is gone. Apparently this whole story is not on here anymore. Down in the comments by unknown poster, not the a-hole, but Mom said I had no idea what I was talking about. Ah, the old history rewrite that's basically gaslighting. This is your sister's graduation. She basically never met Layla, but knows from the rest of you what she has wrought. She never met her because Layla chose to leave the family. Your sister's graduation is not the place to try to reinstate Layla into the fold. Not sure any situation is, but it should be of everyone's choice. They let Layla make the choice of who she lives with and is around years ago. They need to do the same for all of you now. Your stepdad has some sort of obligation to her. Of course he does. She's his child, but you guys aren't obligated to make good with her, especially not at a special event, like graduation. I completely agree with this comment, because there's a time and a place for reconciliation, if there's even a chance that you guys can reconcile. She did some pretty awful things, but that time and place is not at your sister's graduation. Our next story is by Careless Hornet, 4343. Am I the a-hole for deliberately misunderstanding my child's father? So I had a baby some weeks ago with my partner, to whom I'm not married. We've been together a while, and I've given many compromises in this relationship. While discussing baby's name, we had a few disagreements on names, but ultimately decided on a name we both liked well enough. The surname was a sticking point. He wanted the baby to have his name alone. I offered to hyphenate because logistically it's easier for the baby to have both of our names. He's been drinking the red pill Kool-Aid lately, a large bone of contention in this relationship, and went off about how it's tradition and the right thing to do and his right as a man to have the baby have his surname. He told me I'd be emasculating him and may as well be a single parent if I won't grant him this one little ask. My word is final. Babies have one surname. This was late in the pregnancy and I didn't have it in to fight, so I told him I understood what he was saying. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago, and when the baby's birth certificate came, he blew a gasket when he saw that I'd given the baby my surname. He rehashed the conversation above, saying I agreed to giving baby his surname. This is where I might be the a-hole. I did nothing of the sort. I told him I understood him, which I did, but I never said I agreed with him. I told him there was no way I was doing all the work of making a baby for him to stick his name on it. When we brought up tradition, I told him it's also traditional for him to marry me before having the baby, but he was happy to ignore that. I told him it was traditional for him to be the provider, but I do that too, and I pointed out the other holes in his logic. I told him trying to bully me into submission with his red pill BS when I was exhausted from pregnancy didn't work. He should have known better than to expect me not to share a surname with my child. He said the baby should only have one surname. They do. So why's he mad? He went crying to his brothers and mother, all traditionalists and misogynists, and now they're all up in arms. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, there seems to be some confusion. We are not married or engaged. I don't believe in it, and he's never seen the point of bringing the state into your relationship, so we agreed to never marry. He's on the birth certificate as the father. Baby just has my last name, but father is listed. You guys have extremely polarized views of what a child should have in their life. You guys don't even sound like you're in a relationship. You just sound like you had a kid. Your stance on this is a lot closer to what I would say, but you should not be having a child with somebody who is that bad a person. His right as a man and you're emasculating him. He wants all this traditional stuff without any of the work that goes into it. And there's so many men in the world like him lately who all want tradition, 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 but they don't want to do any of the work that's involved in tradition. You guys could not be more different, and you're just going to cause issues for your child. It's a bad choice. It's a bad choice to bring a child into a world where you have nothing but arguments like this. Down in the comments by Cordelia1955, not the a-hole, you told the truth and nothing more. If I read your post correctly, you agreed the baby would have one surname. You didn't agree to which one. So why are you still with this guy? He doesn't respect you. He doesn't provide for you and the baby. Please don't say because you need him or love him. Needing him is like a fish needing a bicycle. If his family is of the same mindset, things will not get better, so don't try to talk yourself into believing they will. Go find someone who deserves you and your child, or go it on your own if you can and want. Lots of women do. While it's true that children statistically do better socially, scholastically, and generally otherwise with two-parent families, your child does not need to learn misogyny, disrespect, and selfishness, which could easily degenerate over time to emotional or verbal abuse. You obviously don't agree with him on very basic fundamental issues that are the foundation of a family. He can stay involved with the baby if he wants to. I'm betting he won't if you don't give him his wishes. But you would be wise to break off your relationship before it damages you and your child. This person said exactly what I was trying to say. He obviously has very different views of what a family should be than you. Very traditional, avoiding all the work. This guy you just had a baby with does not sound like a good guy. Go it alone. You sound like you're financially able to do so. Or find somebody else to raise your kid with, because this guy is not good people. Let him go have his, quote, traditional lifestyle where you're the provider financially and he's not going to marry you, but you need to make sure that his baby has his name. Your boyfriend sounds like a jerk. Our next story is by Emmy Lely. Am I the a-hole for asking my friend to walk me home? Was at this small party recently with friends, and after a couple hours I was tired and wanted to go home. I didn't live too far, maybe a 15-minute walk, but it was nighttime, I was a bit tipsy, and overall way too scared to go by myself. I'm a pretty small girl, and I've had very bad experiences with walking at night, so it didn't feel safe going home by myself. So I asked a male friend, pretty big and imposing guy, if he could just walk me home. The party seemed kinda over already, and I wasn't the only one leaving, so I didn't think it was a big deal just to ask him that. He immediately seemed super annoyed, and I felt bad for asking, but another friend gave him crap for not going with me, so he ended up reluctantly agreeing to walk me home. The walk must have taken no less than 20 minutes, but it felt like an hour. He was super distant, complained the whole way through, and basically laughed at me for being scared. Said he was missing out on the fun because I was too much of a P-word. I didn't say a word and felt like crying, which I did when I got home. I'd also gotten a bunch of drunk texts from guys at the party, again giving me crap for being so scared. I felt so horrible and stupid. Now I'm wondering if I was an a-hole or not. Didn't seem like a big deal to me in the moment, but clearly was to them. Feels like I ruined their fun by being such a coward. Why are these guys treating you like you're a dude who should just man up and walk home? I used to go to college in a very small town, and there was actually cases where girls were attacked while walking to bars and walking through the town, and one was stabbed 3 times by some guy who assaulted her while she was walking home. It's okay to feel afraid of walking home alone. And that's what you're supposed to do if you feel afraid. Go up and ask the biggest guy that you feel safe with to walk you home. Clearly, this guy's just not a friend. Like, really, he's not a friend. If you want to make it clear to him, say to him, I felt how I felt. You could have said no, and I would have found somebody else, and you're a jerk for trying to belittle me because I felt unsafe and needed your help and protection to walk home. And then don't talk to the guy ever again. He'll learn in time. It sounds to me like he felt like it was more important for him to be drinking and drunk and partying than to be a good person. Our next story is by Round Signature 1024. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook dinner because I've just given birth? So I'm 18 and still living with my parents, and I gave birth to my daughter 4 days ago. My mom came into my room earlier and told me to make dinner. I said no because I'm tired as F and have a baby to look after, and my whole body is still hurting. My mom told me that now that I'm a mom, I should learn to do things for the family, even if I'm in pain or tired, because that's what moms do. I told her that I'm not going to make dinner, but maybe in a week or so when I don't feel like I've just been run over by a truck, and hopefully I'll be more used to having a literal baby. My mom told me that the only reason I'm able to look after my baby is because of her and my dad, and she said that I'm lucky to have her. She started yelling at me, and I told her to F off because she woke the baby up. She ignored me and kept yelling, calling me disrespectful and a brat. I literally had to push her out of my room. My dad told me later that I should just make dinner instead of causing arguments, but it was my mom who started the argument. Like, WTF? Edit, I just want to make it super clear that I've been making food for myself, like it's only quick meals that don't need much effort, but some of you seem to think that my mom has been making me everything, but she's not. And I wouldn't expect her to. She's made a few things and I'm really grateful for that, but I've been making most of my own meals. If I had to guess, it sounds like your mom is resentful that you had a baby at 18 while still living with them. She probably envisioned you having your first child when you were out of the house living on your own. It's not a nice thing to say, but it's just the truth. They just finished raising a kid. They expect a break before they start raising another child. And she probably has some resentment for you getting pregnant to begin with. Not that her behavior is justified at all. You just gave birth. You can probably still make food for yourself, though. You didn't ask her to make dinner for you. It's strange that she's asking you to cook dinner for the entire family. Down in the comments by apartad6518, not the a-hole. My mom told me now that I'm a mom I should learn to do things for the family even if I'm in pain or tired because that's what moms do. Not 4 days after giving birth, or at least they shouldn't. It is their home, so you likely have to abide by their rules, but that doesn't mean they should be unreasonable. If that turns out to be the case, you may need to think about other options. Does anyone else get the vibe that the mom is a bit resentful of her daughter for having a baby? I can't shake that feeling. Our stories for today have come to a close until we meet again. Because it snowed today yet again, have a bundled up day.